Woe to the bloody city! It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. The noise of a whip, and the noise of the rattling of the wheels, and of the prancing horses, and of the jumping chariots. The horseman lifteth up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses, and there is none end of their corpses. They stumble upon their corpses. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms, and families through her witchcrafts. Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will shew the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. And it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee, and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who will bemoan her? When shall I seek comforters for her? Nahum chapter 3, verse 1 to 7. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachakudash. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Haran coming back at you with another lesson, lower than to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. And I have another article I want to jump into real quick, and it's titled, America's Farm Crisis is Getting Worse and is Coming to Your Dinner Table. Okay, and over the past couple of days, I've been focusing more on what's about to happen, all right, because these are all part of the biblical end-time prophecies, right? I believe today, my brother was even mentioning that there was another earthquake that happened down in New York City, and of course, neighboring areas and so on. I didn't feel it up where I'm at, but I think there's a second time in 3 days, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so we're seeing these things happening. We got the one that just hit in Russia, I think last week or the week before. It was like a magnitude 8 point something, So we're seeing a lot of these seismic activities that's going on, and that's all tying in prophetically with the earthquakes in diverse places, right? Because it's not just happening in one place, it's happening in very different areas that typically you don't see any, or places that are not normally associated with this type of earthquake activities. It's even causing tsunamis and so on and so forth, all right? You've also seen a lot of these so-called volcanic eruptions that's been happening. Okay, I believe there was another one that happened. They said it hadn't been active. I think this is also in Russia somewhere, right? It hadn't been active in over 400 years or 600 years or some shit like that, right? So these are all like omens. I call them omens. You have all these once in 1,000-year floods that's been happening as well. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that's just pointing to America's downfall. Okay, because America is the head of, the beast system, if you will, the whore that sitteth on many waters. Okay, and so as America goes, so does the world. And when you see all these turmoils and all these different judgments that's happening all around the world, you best believe that all attention will turn to America. And who's going to feel the brunt? Who's going to take the brunt the most is going to be the American people. Okay, and this article pretty much sums it all up. All right, because again, the end time prophecies, you have pestilences, you have earthquakes in diverse places. All right, and you also have famines. Okay, and that's what we're going to focus on right now, because I believe through the Spirit, you got that and the pestilences that's right down the road from becoming reality. Okay, it says America's farmers are in trouble, real trouble, and whether you live on 1,000 acres or in a 2-bedroom apartment, this crisis is going to affect you. What's unfolding across rural America isn't just some dusty policy debate. It's a threat to the food you eat, the prices you pay, and the freedom our country depends on. Right now, American agriculture is facing the biggest challenges it has seen in generations. Many are comparing it to the devastating farm crisis of the 1980s. But in some ways, this may be even worse. Why? Because it's not just one problem, it's five, all hitting at once. Number one, farmers are drowning in debt. Family farms, once symbols of stability, are collapsing under the weight of historical debt. All right? Operating loans, land payments, equipment financing, fertilizer, seed, etc. It's all gotten more expensive, and it's burying small and mid-sized farms. Banks are tightening the screws, and more family farmers are being forced into bankruptcy. These aren't lazy people looking for handouts. These are hard-working Americans who love the land. They just can't keep up anymore. All right? And that alone should let you know that if the farmers are not able to, continue to cultivate the land, then eventually it affects the American people. Okay? It affects the whole entire economic infrastructure. Okay? Because when you have tariffs going on, meaning things that are being imported here are priced on a different level. Okay, inflation is something you're battling, but then you got to also battle these tariffs that's hitting. And then now they're saying that the farmers are not able to produce crops as normal. That's a huge problem, man. Okay, and now eventually people are gonna have to go to these private corporations in order to sustain some form of living. You got a lot of people who can't pay rent. They can't pay their bills. You got a lot of women sitting in their cars crying, talking about they need a man. They want a man. And this American life is hard. And they work 80 hours a week and they still can't hack it. Right? A lot of people are miserable, man. Okay. And that's why the prophecy in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, talks about people bugging out because of lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay. When you read Revelation, the 6th chapter, matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Okay, these are all the things that leads to that famine. All right, it's all, like we said, it's orchestrated. It's not just something that's just happening, just randomly. Nah, these are things that's orchestrated to happen. It's to fulfill biblical prophecy. Okay, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 6, and start off at verse 5. It says, "And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, 'Come and see.' And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand." Okay, and that pair of balances is going into servitude. Okay, it's almost like a yoke of servitude. All right, so in order for them to get people to that point of servitude, you have to mess with their finances. Okay. Yeah, I was just reading something real quick. I'm gonna read it out loud so y'all can hear it. It says, I heard someone literally today at the dollar store complaining about prices going up to $1.50. And that's really hard out there for many people. And she has to pinch pennies. Listen to that. Okay, this is America. This is the land of opportunity, and the what's the slogan they have? The home of the land of the free and the home of the brave, or some shit like that. Home of the free, land of the brave, some crazy shit they always used to say. You don't really hear that too much nowadays, because this land is filled with a whole bunch of women. All right, the men and women are all the same. It's a bunch of women. Okay, but going back to Revelation 6 and 5, all right, the pair of balances represents what? Servitude. Okay, enslavement, and we know that to be known as digital enslavement. Okay, so everything that you see now is leading to that. As is written, he calls it all. Okay, it says, "And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say," it says, "a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." Okay, so just as I read earlier about somebody pinching pennies, right? Imagine it says you go into a dollar store and then you find out that the shit is more than $1. It's like, damn. Even the names of the stores don't even live up to their names no more, man. All right, the good old times of America is dead. Nobody has money anymore. You got all kinds of different shit that's going on. Everyone is tight. Okay, so in the next few weeks, you're gonna start seeing a lot of people unravel. All right, they start losing their shit because life is getting harder and harder and harder. You see, and it doesn't seem to have a break. It's like, yo, it just keeps getting worse. You have over 1 million layoffs already, and we're in August. Okay, they said AI is taking over everyone's job. Most people, not everyone, most people's jobs. Okay, and these office jobs that you see is mostly women that have these office jobs. You're not going to see women in construction and all kind of, no. But those jobs are going to be there for a while. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be there for a while. But these office jobs that robots can do, they're already automating everything. So you all, a lot of you women, you, it is what it is. All right. But ultimately, he says what? But hurt not the oil and the wine, right? So this truth is still going to stand out there. And if the truth is out there, that means that what? The prophets are going to be good. As is written in the book of Psalms, the King David said what? That the Lord says, to touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. Okay, so we're going to be good. As is written in Isaiah, the 65th chapter, right? That we're going to eat. The Lord says he's going to feed us, right? We're going to drink. All right, we're going to sing for joy of heart. Okay. Meanwhile, everybody's going to be in sorrow. All right. So those are words that the Lord promised. We believe on that promise. That's why we're not shook by all these things that's happening. All right. We rejoice when we see these things happening because it's that much closer to our kingdom where we're not going to worry about food and all that extra shit. It's going to be a short time of perplexity, but we're going to go through it. Okay. We're going to go through it so we can receive or walk into that eternal rest. All right. Did not the Apostle Paul say that with much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom? All right. So we understand that. We very perfectly understand that. All right. And guess what? The kingdom is worth everything that we're about to fight for. It's worth it. It's more than worth it. Okay. So let's go back to the article. It says, number 2, prices are dropping, but costs keep climbing. Here's the cruel irony. Farmers are getting paid less for their crops and cattle, even as it costs them more to produce them. It's crazy, yo. Corn, soybeans, cotton, prices are in the basement. But diesel, feed, equipment repairs, and fertilizer sky high. It doesn't take a Harvard economist to do the math. You can't survive long when you're losing money on every acre. This is what happens when global markets are allowed to dominate American livelihoods. While the current administration has taken bold steps to stand up to China and defend our sovereignty, the truth is, decades of bad trade deals and globalist priorities left our farmers far too vulnerable. Now they're paying the price. Okay, and this is literally 2nd Esdras playing out. Let's get that real quick. Okay, let's get that real quick. Here's the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. All right, we're reading about these farmers. Okay, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. So if you ain't got no farmers producing crops, the storehouses are not going to have no crops to be full or to be filled with. So you're going to go to a grocery store. All right, a lot of people are going to go to a grocery store one day and they're going to see that the shelves are empty. It's probably going to be like a weekend. Everything is put out there. Mad people buying shit. Oh, it's Super Bowl this weekend or this, da. And Monday comes and the shelves are not being stocked. Tuesday is going. It's like, yo, they said they'll be delivering these things. We still been waiting and we still ain't getting shit. What's going on? And they're telling you, yo, listen, because of the tariffs, everything is just hard to come by. So we're not sure when you're going to be able to get these products. You're going to start seeing signs in the stores, you know what I'm saying, that this thing has been out of stock 6 weeks now, 8 weeks now. You'd be like, damn, bro, still? And that's when people's desperation is going to start kicking in, you know, because all you're going to see on the aisles is going to be shit that you don't need, shit that you don't want, like a whole bunch of Halloween candy just going to be packed up in the aisles. You don't want to see no fucking candy, man. You know, you go to the toilet roll aisle, it's all empty. It's been empty for weeks. Hey, what's going on? You know, shit, hey, this is the reality, man. This is the reality. Remember, famines, okay? Pestilences, all right? It says the third one, it says the workforce has vanished. It says one of the dirtiest secrets in American agriculture is just how dependent our farms have become on cheap foreign labor. For years, both political parties looked the other way while the industry built a workforce that was here illegally. And now, with enforcement finally being taken seriously, those workers are disappearing and no one is lining up to take their place. So guess what they're going to do? A lot of you people that want benefits, you're going to have to work for those benefits. There's a farmland with maybe 200,000 acres of, apples or whatever. We need people to go work them shits. You see what I'm saying? So the elites can have their apple juice and use it to send it to these grocery stores or send it to other countries or whatever. However they're gonna do it. All right, but you're gonna be working for the bare minimum. Okay, you're gonna be the new working class, legit working class. Okay, you want that UBI? Shit. All right, it says that's not President. This article kind of like it favors Trump a little bit, but we're gonna be objective here. All right, it says that's not Trump's fault. It's the fault of decades of weak leadership and open border nonsense that left our farmers without a legal, sustainable labor system. What we need now is an immigration policy that respects the law, secures the border, and gives farms access to seasonal labor without selling out American workers or undermining our values. See, the thing is, a lot of people don't understand what this is all about. Okay? When we talk about the New World Order, we talk about Agenda 2030 and so on and so forth. You got to take these things seriously because these people who are bringing these things that we're talking about, they're serious. All right. When World Economic Forum opens up and says by 2030 you own nothing and you'll be happy, they're not playing. All right. It's not a joke. It's not something that they're just running around and saying, and it's just like, oh yeah, 2030 is gonna come and we all gonna be. No. Who knew life was gonna be different back in 2018 or back in 2019? That the year 2025, you're going to be living a life where you're just uncertain of what you see on your phone or on TV. This whole AI bullshit that's been going on, like, who knew this was going to be the reality? Who knew we're going to get to a point in time where people are afraid to be around their own family members? Everybody is divided. Okay? Everything is just so controversial. Everyone is super sensitive. This is all done by design. Okay? This is all being done by design. You got this. I was talking about Eve earlier today about this whole Sydney Sweeney shit. And it's crazy because just a couple of years ago, the same thing was happening, but it was on the opposite side. It was the liberals that were talking all this shit. With this whole guy, this Dylan Mulvaney nigga. It was like everyone was talking about it. It was just controversial. A nigga who he acts like a female, this whole TG shit. It was a mess. And now they say, oh, she got good genes. Oh, we are so back. Like the whole, it's just back and forth, same shit. And the more they do these things, these distractions that they put out there. Meanwhile, you got Palantir building up a whole drone army to come after American citizens and shit. Forget about Boston Dynamics and DARPA robot dogs and all. No. We took Palantir. Remember that name. It says, because if we don't fix this, crops will rot in the fields and the grocery store shelves won't look the same next year. Well, remember back in 2021, they broke down the Georgia Guidestones because the agenda that's on the Georgia Guidestones was about to start playing out. And they knew people are going to start researching these things. Why do you think all these so-called presidents and prime ministers and, people who hold high offices in these governments, they're all pushing the same narrative? We need to do something about online speech. Misinformation and disinformation is a problem. We need to keep our people safe. Children, online safety, all this extra shit. Digital identification. They're doing all these things because people are waking up. All right? People are waking up and they need to find a way to curtail that kind of engagement. So it's censoring information, okay, and making it a crime to discuss the truth, which will always go against the narrative. That's all. Every tyrannical government does that. So you're starting to see the building blocks. They're using AI to start grouping people. I always talk about TTID. They're tagging you, they're tracing you, and they're identifying you. Okay? And with the digital ID, it's going to group everyone into different tiers of the population. And if you're on the red list, you no access to everything. Okay? So if these same people are trying to depopulate the earth, because the Georgia Guidestones, the first thing that was on there was to bring the population down from however many billion to about 500 million. It said maintain the human population to about 500 million to be in perpetual balance with nature. That's what it says. Then it goes down with all those wicked tenants that they have on there. But the first one is to depopulate. And if you have 9 billion people, you want to go down to 500 million, an orchestrated family will do a great job in bringing those numbers down. And of course, with Gil Bates and what he said, eugenics, right? Vanessa's. So they go hand in hand. Okay, you want food? You want to get the IUBI? Yeah, come take this jump shot. It says the fourth one is weather is wreaking havoc. Floods, droughts, wild temperature swings. Across the heartland, farmers can't rely on the seasons the way they used to. One year brings too much rain, the next brings none. Fields go underwater or dry up and blow away. Insurance can only cover so much. At some point, farmers just walk away. And some farmers who are trying to be organic and stuff, they also facing lawsuits, right? Because these lobbyists, what they do is they go to these congressmen and so on and so forth and have them pass certain bills and legislation that works against independent farmers. Okay, next thing you know, the very next year something happens, there's a bill that passes, and next thing you know, the way you cultivate your crops or how you feed your animals organically, now it's considered unsafe. Oh, the FDA says that this is unsafe. You cannot do this anymore. You need to shut down. You need to euthanize all your animals and shut down that farm. You're using organic products to feed your animals? Are you kidding me? Meanwhile, when you go into corporate factories and shit, the food processing plants, they cut open the stomach of the cow, and then they feed them through there. But no, you want to have open pasture and have the cows graze and eat organic, grass-fed, and then sell it for people to be healthy? Oh, you're going against the code. You need to shut down. You're talking about your constitutional rights and you don't want to shut down? Well, we're going to sue you. But guess what? These companies have billions of dollars. You, Mr. Farmer, you don't got billions of dollars. So how much can you really go back and forth in the court, spending however hundreds of thousands of dollars going back and forth, only to find out that you lose anyway, because they got the judges in their pockets. They got the lawyers who are fighting back and forth in their pockets. So it's a lose-lose situation. And a lot of farmers are going down and under because they cannot maintain that shit, going back and forth, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in court. Bro, man, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. All right? So they're shutting down. Okay? It says this isn't just bad luck. It's the result of years of poor land management. Let's keep that in mind. We'll come back to that. It says overregulation and shifting climate cycles. But now it's hurting real people in real places, and it's putting our national food supply at risk. See? That's why it's very important for them to wipe out all these mom and pop shops, all these independent farmers, all these people that could sustain a population in case of a time of crisis. They're wiping them all away. Because when the time comes, they need everyone to be on that same level playing field. Okay? You have the elites and you have the slaves. Okay, now they have to pledge something in order to gain access, that the access to the world that the elites have created for them. Okay, the fifth one, it says the government is failing them. When American farmers needed leadership, the bureaucrats gave them paperwork, but they just ain't read it. That's their problem. It says agencies that used to exist to serve rural America have become bloated. Bloated, politicized machines, right? And everything is politicized. Okay, the best way to bring any topic into the minds of the American people is to just make it political. That's it. Just bring anything, just make it about politics, and it's going to become the mainstream, no matter what the topic is. All right. It says the support systems that kept family farms going, loans, insurance, technical help, are falling apart. And when aid is available, it's often funneled to the biggest, most corporate farms, while small family operations get left behind. Again, it's all going through lobbyists. The Jays, yeah, they have the cashier to do these things. Okay? We're not conspiracy theorists when we bring out the facts. All right? And facts is not hate. Okay? Always remember that. They can never say what we're saying isn't true. They just say, oh, it's anti-Semitic. Shut up. You don't want to hear that shit no more, man. Answer the questions. All right. It says even the big farm bills passed in Washington, including those supported by conservative leadership, don't always reach the people who need them most, and it's done by design, because it reaches the J's though. It mysteriously always does. It says the funds are tied up in red tape, delayed for months, or unevenly distributed. And without a major overhaul, thousands more farms could vanish in the next 5 years. You're not going to get to 5 years. You're not going to get to 5 years. This isn't just about farmers, it's about you. If you think this is just a rural problem, think again. What's happening to America's farmers will hit every single household in this country. Okay? In this country. Fewer farmers means less food. Less food means higher prices. And higher prices mean real pain for families already struggling with inflation. And that's what's going to bring in this prophecy right here. One of my favorite prophecies. Let's get it. 2nd Ezra chapter 15. And verse 19, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. Why? Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay? Because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Revelation, the 6th chapter, talks about what? Revelation 6 and 6, it says, and I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. So that penny is a measurement, okay, which I believe goes back to the Roman equivalent of a denarius, which when you do the conversion, a penny was equivalent to 10 asses. If you were to go back and do the equivalents, because that's how they used to make trades, right? They used to balance it. They had the balance. So whatever it is that you wanted to purchase, if you were purchasing whatever, they had a balance, and then they'll weigh it, and it had to be equal on the balance. And if it was equal, then you're exchanging for equal value, and that's how trade was done back then. Okay, so the denarius, all right, was basically a day's wage, right? A day's pay, if you will, you know. So they're saying that, well, the prophecy is saying here that a measure of wheat, so a small measure of wheat is going to be equivalent to a day's pay. All right. So if you do the math, that's like shit. I don't know. The numbers is not coming to me off the top of my head, but you're looking at something like $200, $300. All right. With inflation and everything, maybe more, who knows? Right. For just probably a small half a cup or some shit of wheat. Right, in that equivalence. So in other words, you're spending a whole lot more money. You got that right now. A few years ago, you go to the grocery store and your shopping cart would be filled with a whole bunch of stuff for like $100. Now, $70 is like you can't even fill up a basket for $70. You buy a few things, next thing you know, you go to $85. You'd be like, damn, 85? What the fuck? Like, damn, this shit that I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? If you go to the grocery store, you spend $200, it's gonna be done that same very week. $200 is for a week's grocery shopping right there, you know. And that's, you're being conservative. You're buying your necessities, not in a wants. No, I feel like getting this. So no, necessities. So that means you can't go without, right? So just think about that for a second. And America was never built like that. America is always built on exuberance and fucking pleasures and shit. You know, impulse buying, you know, oh, I feel like buying this, so I bought it. I'm just going shopping. They've never really gone through having to, you know, struggle and make ends meet like that. They're not used to that. See? So when the time comes, all right. It says for lack of bread and for great tribulation. So this is where it's all leading to this. All right. It's all leading to this. All right. Because Ezra is telling you the side effects of what we are saying is going to be happening, right? So we're giving you the steps to it, to what Ezra saw as the aftermath of the things that's happening now. Okay, so it says here, it's not just the sticker shock, it's the uncertainty, the fear that your local grocery store won't have the same choices it used to. That imported good, grown with fewer safety standards, will take the place of the wholesome American-raised products. That we will wake up one day and realize we handed our food supply over to foreign interests. And when a nation loses control of its food, it loses control of its future. Our enemies know this. That's why foreign entities are quietly buying up American farmland. That's why other nations are tightening control over global food exports. And that's why protecting the American farmer isn't just a nostalgic idea, it's a matter of national defense. We need leaders who will prioritize food production like we prioritize oil and energy. We need to restore respect for rural America, create a stable legal workforce, negotiate trade policies that put America first, and rebuild our domestic agriculture before it's too late. And meanwhile, your government is worried about how you can track your health. Fuck out of here, bro. Talking about make America healthy again. Meanwhile, your farmers are struggling. Why are you not sending money to them? But if you care so much about America's health, it starts with the food. It starts with the farms. Get rid of Bayer and all these hoe-ass Monsanto niggas that be putting GMOs in food that people eat. Get rid of them niggas. But no, you got business shares with them, so you can't really get rid of them. They got billions of dollars, so they lobby and make all these policies that work in their favor against the American people. Because it's all about money at the end of the day, right? It's all about capitalism, right? When are the American people going to wake up? When it's too late, all right? And it's already too late. When they got to join long lines in the wintertime because they got these stupid little carts in front of them and they got to go get food from the nearest food shelter in exchange for a chip, yeah, that's when they're going to realize it, okay? And it's all judgment from Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, because they don't listen. They don't listen, okay? Let's get this real quick. This is why the kingdom is going to be so great, okay? Wow, that's the spirit. Got some other information here real quick. It says, I heard something today about a new legislation passing about no longer having to disclose the use of pesticides. Okay, it's the same thing with the lobbying for these corporations not to label their food that has GMOs or formerly known as bioengineered food products. So they want to take those labels off. So pesticides, GMOs, bioengineered food products, all these different things are being taken off. So you, the buyer, they call it consumers. You, the consumer, are not aware of what's being put into your body. Okay, but yet they want to turn around and say, we want you to track your health because we want you to be healthy again. You trust these devils, you're going to get what you get. All right. But this is the precept I wanted to bring out. A few verses here. Okay, this is a book of Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 1. And this focuses more on the land Sabbath. Okay, you got people who talk about, oh, the Bible was written by a white man. Oh, the Bible did. Do you know the kind of practical knowledge that's in this book? All right, and that's why Americans are going to be destroyed. You motherfuckers are too proud, man. Okay, you're the dumbest people on the earth and you're so proud, bro. It's just like, how? Like, what the fuck? You know, it's like a baby that despises the mother's nourishment. It's like, you're not going to survive. It's like, oh, I can't be, why are you trying to tell me about the Bible and the laws of God and all this? Nah, man, I ain't trying to hear that. That's the manual, bro. It's like you get a new, something that you're supposed to put together. You buy some table or some shit. It comes with a manual. Every new thing comes with a manual, bro. Life has the same thing, and life's manual is the Bible. Basic instructions before leaving Earth. All right? Bible. Okay? So when you disregard what the words of the scriptures are giving you, which is the blueprint that the Lord gave man, as it says in Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, the whole duty of man is to fear the Most High and to keep his commandments. Once you forsake that part, you're lost. Okay? So that's why we live in a system that's so deprived of knowledge, is because it's been designed, systematically designed that way. But even so, the Bible is still available. People intentionally stay away from the Bible and they have no idea what's in it, but yet they speak so proudly about what's in it. And it disgusts me. All right, so let's read this. In the book of Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 1, it says, And the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, right? The children of Israel, the focal point, the focal point, focus, right? And say unto them, When ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord Yahweh. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord Yahweh. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. Okay? Now, if the American farmers were to observe this sabbatical law that the Lord gave to the Israelites, they would have prospered. You would never have any debt, right? Because it also flows right into the Jubilee as well, right? So these dumbass, hoe-ass Jays that claim to be God's chosen people, what's up with all this banking system that is all filled with fraud and interest and usury? What's up with all that? Now, according to law, we can charge usury on the other nations, but what's up with these Jays, man? What's going on with that? Okay, that's why they got this beef with Iran. Iran don't want them to come in there and set up a central bank because it's based on usury, and that's what this whole beef is about. Okay, there's a lot more, but that plays a huge role. Okay, it says verse 5: that which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vine undressed, for it is a year of rest unto the land. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee, and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee. And for thy cattle, and for the beasts that are in thy land, shall all the increase thereof be meat. And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years, and the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. Okay, 49. So 7 times 7 is 49. Okay. Then shalt thou cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. And ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. Right? So if they were to keep that, right, these farmers will not be drowning in debt. Okay, so if you were to keep the land Sabbath and the year of Jubilee, right, which means all debt is forgiven. Okay, and then especially being that it's happening on the Day of Atonement, all your sins are forgiven as well, right? But here in America, they could bring you up on charges of shit that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The Day of Atonement is supposed to wipe out everything that you do over that previous year, and you're starting all over again. So the Heavenly Father, the King of all kings, the King of the universe, is gonna forgive me, but Esau gonna pull up some shit that I did 10 years ago, right? Yeah. It says, let's see, verse 10, it says, and ye shall hallow we read that. Oh, actually, let's bring that back. Verse 10, it says, and ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. Ye shall not sow, neither reap that which groweth of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of thy vine undressed. For it is the Jubilee, it shall be holy unto you. Ye shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. In the year of the Jubilee ye shall return every man unto his possession. Okay? So when you read that in the NLT, let's run that real quick. Leviticus 25:2 in the NLT says, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you have entered the land I am giving you, the land itself must observe a Sabbath rest before the Lord Yahweh every 7th year. For 6 years you may plant your fields and prune your vineyards and harvest your crops. But during the 7th year, the land must have a Sabbath year to complete rest, or a Sabbath year of complete rest. It is the Lord's Sabbath. Do not plant your fields or prune your vineyards during that year. And don't store away the crops that grow on their own, or gather the grapes from your unpruned vines. The land must have a year of complete rest. But you may eat whatever the land produces on its own during its Sabbath. See how good the Lord is? This is the God we serve. That's why the nations were supposed to look at us and look at our laws and say, truly, these are a wise and what's how'd it go? See if I can find it real quick. I think it's wise, great and wise, or wise and understanding people. Let's see. Right here. Here's a book of Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 6. It says, keep therefore and do them, right? So the law of the land Sabbath is part of our laws that we're supposed to keep and do, right? For this is our wisdom, right? And this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people, right? Because if Esau was to keep our laws like that, these farmers will be chilling. The people will be chilling. There'll be no debt. These kind of things, these kings look at me like, damn, these are a wise and great and understanding people, right? Because the laws that we have, that we keep, are great and understanding. They're all in sync with nature. You follow the blueprint, you gain results. You go against the blueprint, you suffer the consequences. Ultimately, death by fire. Okay? Continuing, it says, verse 5, and don't store, Leviticus 25:5, and don't store away the crops that grow on your own or on their own, or gather the grapes from your unpruned vines. The land must have a year of complete rest. But you may eat whatever the land produces of its own during its Sabbath. This applies to you, your male and female servants, your hired workers, the temporary residents who live with you. Your livestock and the animals on your land will also be allowed to eat what the land produces. Okay? See, the Lord is so good. He preserves man and beast, man. I believe it tells you in the book of Psalm as well. Okay? That thou preservest of man and beast. Okay? It says, in addition, you must count off 7 Sabbath years. 7 set of 7 years, adding up to 49 years in all. Then on the Day of Atonement in the 50th year, blow the ram's horn loud and long throughout the land. Set this year apart as holy, a time to proclaim freedom throughout the land for all who live there. It will be a jubilee year for you, when each of you may return to the land that belongeth or belonged to your ancestors, and return to your own clan. This 50th year will be a jubilee for you. During that year, you must not plant your fields or store away any of the crops that grow on their own, and don't gather the grapes from your unpruned vines. It will be a jubilee year for you, and you must keep it holy. But you may eat whatever the land produces on its own. In the year of the jubilee, each of you may return to a land that belonged to your ancestors. When you make an agreement with your neighbor, okay, this goes into the land and so on and so forth. More expounding more on the Jubilee per se, but I want to focus more on this on the land Sabbath. All right, but just want to bring that out real quick. Seems like it's going a little too long, more than I would like, but the edification, Lord willing, has come out. All right, but I'm gonna end it off there. Lord willing, you are edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. This has been America's Farm Crisis is Getting Worse and is coming for your dinner table. The Wadi Yahabashim Yahushai. Until next time. Shalom.